And now, the international Vienna for everyone. And now, the international Vienna for everyone.
Thank you for inviting me.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And nice that you're meeting Vienna.
Yeah, meeting Vienna.
How long you been here?
In February it will be 2 years officially, but before that I was already doing a long distance relationship, so I was coming here every 2 weeks. And
From where?
From the Netherlands. I lived in
That's
Maastricht.
not a very long distance.
Well, 1,000
What people from the US gonna think when they hear that? Long distance, 2-hour flight or less?
Semi-long distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's actually better. You get some space for yourself, and your boyfriend is just 2 hours away.
No, I mean, I always go by train, so then it's 14 hours.
14 hours.
So, yeah.
What you're one of those people who reads and works on trains or sleeps?
No, I'm going by night train, so I'm a sleeping on the train person. But I used to go just on the seats, where you have to sit and it's really uncomfortable because you basically don't sleep. But now that have a more stable income, I give myself the sleeping places in the train so that I can stretch my legs at least, and yeah, it's better.
What's the deal with this night train? I always wanted to try them. Are they really useful in the sense that does it really work that if you have a meeting the next day in the Netherlands, you travel tonight until then, but you're not as fresh as you expect to be, right? It's not that good if the meeting is important.
Yeah, I mean, you're not super fresh afterwards. I mean, I think it's different if you have the sleeping cabin, right? Because then you can at least stretch out, sleep a little bit. But the thing is that they're barely ever arriving on time. So at least I wouldn't plan a meeting soon after it should arrive. Yeah.
Even Austrian trains? Or they're ÖBB, does ÖBB do that?
I'm not sure if they're Austrian trains or an international collaboration between the Netherlands and Austria. And Dutch trains don't tend to be on time as much either, so I don't know. Yeah.
But I was telling you earlier that I know also another person that just moved from Amsterdam to Vienna. But you didn't move directly from Amsterdam, you were from Maastricht, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, what is this thing? Why are people leaving Amsterdam for Vienna? What's going on there? What is wrong there?
I mean, I would say there's just a lot of people on a small piece of land, so it's very crowded.
All right, the density, I read about it.
Yeah, there's a big density in the city, so it feels like you kind of never get a break from city life. And I'm a person that needs time to kind of, be away from sound and be away from people. And that's hard to do in Amsterdam also because the houses are a bit less well insulated, so you hear sound kind of all the time. And I struggled with that a lot, so that's why I moved to Maastricht then in the south, where it was just way more, chill and less people. And I had my little tiny garden because housing there is still affordable. Because that's another thing, right? In Amsterdam, houses are completely not affordable at all. For a 1-bedroom apartment, you pay 2,500 a month.
Yeah. So that's crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's really not nice. So I think that's also one reason in Vienna the houses are definitely affordable compared to Amsterdam. So, yeah.
Well, you have you guys over there every one of you just has a little garden at home. You're basically planting flowers over the sink in the bathroom or everywhere where there's some little space, you just plant flowers, right? There's #1 country with flowers or what?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in exporting flowers, we're really big, but I mean, it's not so great for our land actually because, economically, probably they make a lot of profit with it, but it's not great because they're really using monoculture a lot to create specific kind of flowers and export them, right?
What does it mean?
That they use specific parts of land to only make one type of plant, and that's not good for the ground because it takes all the specific minerals that one plant needs, and then the earth is kind of losing this one mineral and kind of being unable to grow any other type of plant.
But you just said that Netherlands are a small country, so that's a very small piece of land compared to planet Earth.
Yes, but also we're very good at, efficient agriculture. So we have a lot of greenhouses where we're making also stacks and stacks and stacks of plants. So yeah, actually this is a part of the Netherlands. I mean, I I would have to check the numbers here,
Yeah.
but I know that we're very, very big in exporting agriculture, and that it's not great for, the biodiversity in our country, and also animal love and this kind of things.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. So,
Do you have a bike?
of course, I have a bike. The question should be, how many bikes do you have?
How many bikes do you have?
I mean, I have one here in Vienna, and I have one in the Netherlands, and I think, I have a unicycle as well. So that counts as half a bike. So I would say,
It's a unicycle.
like one of these circus bikes with one bike. And
Really?
yeah, I can do
Why?
that.
Why do you have that?
I used to be in circus school, and I can
No
ride
way.
it. So yeah,
That's what you were doing in circus school or in circus?
in circus school as a kid, like it was just like you go to dancing class. I went to circus class, and I did.
What did you learn there? This one?
Yeah, the unicycle and walking on the cord and climbing in the tissues and trapeze. I don't know what's that's called
Yeah.
in English. Yeah.
Do you remember any of that? You still practice them?
Yeah, because I do pole dance now. Actually, I'm doing it quite actively. So I guess it's kind of using the same kind of love for climbing and just doing tricks. And yeah,
Why? What is the benefit why do you do pole dance?
I really love it. It's really like a power sport. Like I'm learning a lot of tricks, and
I find it very hard.
pole dance is really a lot of people find it really
It
difficult.
requires a lot of strength, I guess.
Yeah, true. But I like that. So yeah, I guess it's mostly technique, to be honest. Like strength is of course a big part of it, because you have to hold yourself and turn yourself upside down and stuff like that. But I think it's mostly technique, and I'm very, very unflexible, but flexibility is definitely also a part of it. But you can do pole dance without being flexible. I'm the living proof of that.
So you go around Netherlands with your one wheel bike. That's what you do.
Oh man, no, I just do it now as like a party trick, to be honest. I don't really, I haven't used it in a long time, but I can still do it.
You go you go trick or treat with a one wheel bike for Halloween.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
What are your plans for here in Vienna?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I keep saying that, I feel like when I moved to Austria, I felt like I moved back in time 20 years.
Yeah, you said that, and I was surprised to hear that.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But go ahead, explain me why.
Well, I mean, maybe it's also the difference between, I grew up in Amsterdam, and I grew up in a quite liberal family, and I was used to, my mom working a lot. And when I'm looking here at how the system is created, also, for example, parental leave, it's very much still based on the idea that the women take care of the children. And I also feel that in the workplace, it's definitely way more conservative than in the Netherlands. And it's way harder for me to get a job here. And yeah, I struggled a lot with that, and I feel it in different things, also just more subtle things, I guess. But yeah, I think you asked me what my goal would be here.
No, let's keep it to the 20 years back, because I would like to elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay.
What is the problem with maternity leave, according to you?
So the maternity leave here is 1 year for women, right? Which in principle, the first time I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's great that you get a whole year paid off. But in that same period, you're not getting pension. It means you're a whole year out of your job. So it's really hard to reintegrate. There is a lot of problems with women reintegrating in work after parental leave in general already. Worldwide, but I think the longer that you stay at home, the harder it is to come back, of course. And there's no support structure for helping women reintegrate back in the work flow after they have become.
What should it be? The structure.
I think first of all that it should be kind of talked about, that it's not easy to come back after you've become a mom. I mean, I don't have that experience because I'm not a mom, but when talking to other women who have gone through that, you see that it's really difficult. And I think it should be talked about, and I think we should, help these women, support them. And that could mean different things. That could mean giving them flexible work schedules to make sure that they, can still do their work in their own times. That could be being flexible with home office, for example. But it could also be giving fathers the opportunity to actually go in parental leave more easily, because right now that is really not made easy by...
That's shorter. The parental leave is shorter than the maternity leave, I think.
Yeah, it's only men are only able to take off 2 months for the full pay, which is kind of unfair because, I mean, what if you're a father that would love to stay home with the kids, right? I think
most of the fathers would love to stay home.
Yeah.
Especially when they were just born.
Yeah, exactly. And also that you cannot take the time off together. So it's either the mother or the father. You have to choose. So why is that? Why can't we just, stay at home together? I think that...
Are you sure is that by law? Because we just said, I'm really a bit ignorant about these things, but we just had a colleague. Mm-hmm. He's a man, and his wife just gave birth to a child last week, and they are both on parental leave now. So I don't know if it's our company who's doing that, because our company is very, very social and very liberal in a sense, but or it's the law.
I mean, as far as I understood it, it was by law at least not that you get like the months that you get in parental leave that you can take it off like that. Maybe you get a few weeks. I'm not sure about that. Or maybe it's a company specific thing. I honestly don't know.
I will ask. I'm also curious about it.
Yeah, me too. If there is companies that are doing that, that's great. I mean, that's a good step forward.
No, there are. This company is very, very nice in their terms.
Yeah, that's great.
Good. But when you're saying that it's a year for mothers, is it too long that they should go back to work earlier?
I think, of course, every person should decide that for their own situation. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad to stay at home for a year, and not at all. But I'm just saying that if there should be an equal opportunity for dads to do that, or an opportunity to, for example, take it part-time, so that you could take it for the full pay 2 years part-time and split it with your partner, for example. Or that, I don't know, the one partner stays at home 2 days a week and the other partner stays at home 3 days a week. So,
Why would they want to go back earlier to work?
Because a lot of women love their job.
Okay.
They love working. I think it's nice to be around colleagues. It's a social network as well, right? Mm-hmm. It's not only the work itself, but also like being with other adults can be really nice. I mean, I would personally never want to stay at home a whole year. Like, I would go crazy. I would love to, be around my colleagues again and start working because I love working. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think, of course, that's very different per person, right? And I think everyone should be able to make that choice for themselves. But I think this system as it is now kind of decides for you that, yeah.
But I know that there is also the chance that you can go back to work earlier than 1 year.
Yeah, of course.
So there is the choice that you're talking about. Or...
You can go back earlier, then you just don't get the money.
What money?
Like, you get paid fully for a whole year to stay at home, and if
I don't think it's the full salary actually, but there's 80% of it or something.
Yes.
You take the whole year, something like that.
Yeah. And if you stay even longer, then it becomes 60% or something like that.
Even longer than a year.
Yeah, exactly. Then it becomes.
Do you think that makes sense?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think. A lot of this, childcare and taking care of a household, I think it should all be considered work. Right now it's basically not paid for at all, which is a big problem, especially for women, especially when you see it in their pension, for example. They have way lower pensions because they do a lot of this unpaid labor that is not, not paid for. And it's not really appreciated. So I think it's good that this kind of labor gets compensated as well. I don't know, with percentages of salary, it always becomes complicated, of course, also because different people have different salaries and some people don't have their own income at all. So it's difficult to find out on the spot like a whole structure for that. But I think in general, it should be a shared burden between both partners, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You should be able to choose who and how much you want to take on these tasks in your own situation without being benefited or having a negative repercussions from that choice.
But Do you know maybe why that there is this thing that mother can stay longer with their kids? Maybe it's something that it's a more physical and biology matter that just the born children need their mother.
No, that's not true.
There's no such thing as that?
No,
Even though the kid was in mother's belly for 9 months, there's nothing that connects them anymore?
I'm not saying there's nothing that connects them, but I'm also saying that the non-carrying parent is perfectly capable of taking care of the child. And I would actually say it might be even more important for the non-carrying partner to bond with the kid afterwards, as the mom already did so for, before that physically. So I think actually maybe they have some catching up to do. And no, I don't think at all that this. I mean, of course, in the first few weeks, and if you choose to breastfeed, then of course it makes sense that you have your kid close by, or if you're pumping, that's also fine, of course. But
do you think breastfeeding makes sense?
Oh, I think that's completely individual choice. I once talked to a friend of mine about it, whose nurse told her that breastfeeding is the right choice as long as it's the right choice for the mother, and I think that's a perfect way of describing that. I think everyone should decide that for themselves. Yeah.
And how is it in the Netherlands?
So
since when you moved here, it's different.
Yeah. In the Netherlands, the parental leave is, or the mother's leave is only 3 months, so it's way shorter. And then a lot of kids go quite early to kindergarten or daycare, and then parental leave is split between both parents. Could be split between both parents equally, or in part-time as well. Yeah.
So which one you prefer?
I mean, for my personal situation, probably the one of the Netherlands, because I don't want to be... I feel like there's still kind of a judgment in Austria if you bring your kid to kindergarten before it's 1 year old, And in the Netherlands, that's really normal. So, I mean, of course, there's also, it's also great for women that do want to stay home, that they have the support financially to do that for a year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, in the sense that there's less choices in the Netherlands than in Austria. In Austria, you can also go back to work after 3 months, right?
You can, but if you bring your 3-month-old to daycare, there would be a lot of judgment for that. And
judgment? Well, who cares about judgment? If it's legal and they were going to keep your child in daycare, that's all it matters.
Yeah, if they take your child, because a lot of daycares are also not happy to take on such young children. And I think judgment still matters a lot, especially because this kind of judgment falls more on the shoulders of women than on men. Like, nobody would judge the man for going to work earlier, but they would judge the mother, and I think that's unfair. Yeah.
What was you were doing a workshop last week, or what was that? I missed that, with the female factor.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was a few weeks ago. I organized a networking event for the Female Factor, or actually with members of the Female Factor, and the Female Factor, they organized a space for us and hosted the event, together with me. And
what was it about?
It was a networking event. So it was the Female Factor is a company that helps empower women in the workplace, and it was just to connect to different international women who want to connect to other women that are ambitious and want to make steps in their career. So it was just to connect, really. Yeah.
How many people did attend the event?
About 30 women. Yeah.
And you were the host.
So I organized it. I set it up. I invited all the women. I made sure that there was a location to go to, and I made sure that everyone had the right information afterwards, and I connected to a lot of them also. What
was something that you took home after this networking event? Something that you were proud of?
I was very proud of organizing this event and that so many people actually showed up. I had never organized such a big event before, and it was a great success. A lot of people told me that they met so many nice people and that everything was clear for them. And it made me really realize that I want to continue working in this kind of organization role, because I really enjoy it. So, and I'm good at it, so that helps.
But you're actually an editor.
Also, yeah. So I'm basically doing a lot of things. I'm working in different...
Can you list them for me?
Yes. So on the one hand, I'm a documentary filmmaker. Like you said, I actually, or editor, you said, but I create the films from start to finish. So I come up with the idea, or I come up with the idea together with people. And then I interview people and I create stories and I edit and then I make the whole film. So it's like a whole process. I'm there.
Why do you do this?
I love film.
I understand that you love, but in a sense that what's the purpose? Are you do you do them and sell them? Are you hired to do them, or is your own thing? Is your own side project or full-time project?
Yeah. So I started with doing it for my studies in the Netherlands. I studied interdisciplinary arts, and there I focused on documentary filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And the first project I did was on sustainability and what sustainability means for young people, youngsters in high school specifically. So it was really to figure out what sustainability actually means, because it's such a buzzword that often we don't really know what it means on an individual level. So I wanted to create a project that, talked openly about how we struggle with defining what that means for us and what it looks like in daily life. And so, I created this film about, it was called the Klimaattwijfelaar, which means like the climate doubter, which is just about how we all have things that we are willing to do to help, go against climate change, but there are also things that we're not willing to do, and that we talk about that openly and also try not to judge each other for making different choices in that.
Was this a topic close to your heart, or why did you choose this topic?
Yeah, it's a topic close to my heart because I've been really occupied with the topic of sustainability since a young age. I became a vegetarian when I was 7 by my own choice.
How?
I didn't want to.
How did you trust your own judgment when you were 7 years old?
I was a stubborn one from the beginning. I heard about the animal abuse that happened in the meat industry, and
you heard about it?
Yeah.
And that made you vegetarian because you heard about it?
Yeah.
What if it wasn't true?
Well, the people that told me about it were trustworthy people, so I trusted them. And I don't remember how deeply I researched this as a 7-year-old, of course, but my parents were very supportive, and they taught me also more about it. And I think when you're a kid, you do trust certain people around you with certain.
Well, definitely, I would also be happy if my 7-year-old daughter, when I have one, turns out to be vegetarian at this age, because I find it great. It's automatically less costs.
Definitely. Also,
so I'm pretty sure that every parent would be happy if their kids become.
I'm not so true. I'm not so sure about that.
Why? You know anyone who hasn't been happy?
No, I know a lot of people that are very judgmental towards eating vegetarian. Yeah, sure. I mean, there is a big backlash against people that stop eating meat, and there's a very hard campaign from the meat industry going on to make sure that we don't go away from eating meat. And the Netherlands is, like I said, one of the biggest exporters of agriculture, and that also includes meat. So I'm very critical of that, and the Netherlands tries to promote it still a lot. But
I heard that you can back this or no. I heard that Netherlands will block advertising for meat in the next 2 years or something.
Yeah, they're starting with that now. Yeah, it's in one city they do it now already, and they're gonna start implementing it in more.
But they gotta block it like cigarette advertising. There will just won't be anymore any meat advertising, or no more burgers.
I'm not sure if it will also be like on internet commercials and these kind of things, but it's going to at least not be in the streets. So that's where they're going to stop it. I think it's a good start.
Yeah, but how do you think that these will work towards your cause of becoming a vegetarian? How will it help? There will be less need for meat, therefore there will be less animal abuse at factories?
I hope so. Yeah, less animal abuse, and and the impact on the climate of meat is very, very big. So I think we should take that really seriously. And I think that stopping to eat meat is one very great way that you can contribute on an individual level to
But what
voice against climate change.
I also, just like you heard about the animal abuse, I heard about the need that human beings have for meat, the biological need that we have to eat meat. We need the red meat in our bodies. It has its vitamins and its proteins that we are born with the need to have them. What about it?
Well, you heard wrong.
Maybe you heard wrong. It's your word against mine.
Yes, well, I mean, actually, if you look at research, that claim is really not, that's not supported. Like, of course, there are certain valuable things that you can find in meat, but you can also find these things in plant-based alternatives. So actually, there are things in meat that are nice and that are good for you, but you can also find that in other types of food. So it's definitely not that we need, red meat to stay healthy. I'm a very healthy person, and I haven't eaten meat since I was 7, so I guess I'm the living proof of that again.
Yeah, you definitely do pole dancing. I'm pretty sure you're very very healthy. Yeah, but on the other hand, I also heard that plant-based industry is going crazy. The processed food is becoming very bad, and it's sort of backfiring because they're trying to stop meat production because of the processed meat and animal abuse. Well, on the other hand, they are doing vegan food, which is hyper-processed and it's no good to the human body.
Do you believe that meat is not hyper-processed?
Depends where I buy it.
Yeah, well, that goes for vegan products as well.
Chances are that I have more chances to see a cow that will later be dead and I will eat it rather than a factory of vegan food. So I can never say for vegan food that, yes, I know that this is not hyper-processed, but I can say that for meat.
Why? I mean, there's plants. Vegan food's basically plants, right? You see that all the time. So why does that have to be more processed than meat first?
Because if I go to the countryside, or at least this has happened years ago, when I used to go to the countryside, and there were these mini village restaurants, and they would say there's these. They would just take you to the sheeps and say choose one, pick one of them, and they would just cut her head or his head right there, and would cook it for me. So that's how I know that food wasn't processed. And what you just heard, it's terrible, but it happens still, and it's very common, especially in some countries. So that's how, at least, there was animal abuse, but I know it wasn't processed food. But everywhere I go in the supermarkets, how do I know which one is and which one isn't a vegan processed food or hyper-processed food?
If you go in a supermarket, you also don't see the sheep that has been killed for that.
Yeah, but I have the chance to go to the countryside and eat a sheep that was just in front of me 5 minutes ago alive.
Sure, but you also have the chance to go to the countryside and eat vegan food that you just see. I mean, that's plants.
Yeah, I mean, when I say vegan, I don't mean the pure plant. I mean, when they say, for example, vegan burger, that it's supposed to taste like burger, but it's not burger. It's not meat.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're trying to point at, but once again, like a meat burger as well is processed meat, and I don't think that the burger, if you go to McDonald's, that the meat burger there is any less processed than the vegan burger that you find there, so.
Well, tell that to the Prime Minister, the Chancellor of Russia. Oh, you didn't hear the joke, right?
No, I didn't.
Because Nehammer, the Chancellor, said that the complaints about there are poor people in Austria, they can't afford warm food, are wrong because there's a burger in McDonald's that costs €1.50.
Horrible joke. Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah. I don't even think we should consider it a joke, to be honest.
No, mine was a joke. His wasn't.
No, his was just a horrible comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just are a trustworthy person that you choose also to trust this vegan foods?
Well,
Or
you asked me how I
vegetarian?
made this choice when I was
Yeah.
a 7-year-old. So when I was a 7-year-old, yes, I trusted my parents to choose the right food for me. Right now, of course, I'm more critical of what I buy and where I buy it, and I often buy bio food. That's not include any pesticides or this kind of thing. So I still think critically about that, of course, right now. But yeah, that is what I do now versus what I did as a 7-year-old. So I think.
What was that? The thing that sparked your imagination and curiosity and your future that made you a vegetarian? I understand animal abuse, but was there something like you went or you did that day, and was it like from today on I'm gonna be a vegetarian, or was it something that lasted for 6 months? You thought about it. How did it happen, actually?
I think it was. I mean, I remember talking to my friend that was a neighboring kid, and he was raised vegetarian, and he basically told me about it. And he told me, I asked him why, and how he got to that choice, or how his parents decided that for him. And yeah, he taught me about it. So I don't think it was like a one day to the other thing, like that there was one thing I saw, but I just got to learn more about it. And then I decided one day, like, hey, I want to try that. And in the beginning, I still ate fish. So I first stopped only eating meat. And of course, that was in the beginning also difficult, because then there were things that I liked to eat, and then I couldn't eat them anymore. Or, I mean, I could, but I chose not to, right? It was still very much my own choice. And I remember one time asking my parents there was like a sausage on the table that I wanted to eat, but I was doubting because I actually wasn't eating meat anymore. And I asked my parents, like, hey, can I have that? And my parents told me, like, of course you can have it because it's your own choice, but you have to think for yourself if you want to make that choice right now, because you said you wanted to stop eating meat. So that's a choice you have to make for yourself. And I mean, that very early on taught me to really think critically about, what do I want to eat, and what do the choices that I make have for consequences. And I chose not to eat it that day. And I think from then onwards, that's it. I mean, I haven't eaten meat since, so.
So you're a video editor. That's what we were talking about.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Your first documentary was about sustainability.
Yeah, exactly.
How did the public react to it? Were you able to explain it to individuals? What does it mean? And to get the opinions of other individuals, what does it mean for them?
Yeah, that was the most important part, right? To get an opinion of all different people's, like, what does it mean for you personally? What does it mean for your life? What does it mean for your choices?
What does it mean for you?
What does it mean for me? It means that I'm critical of my own actions, so that I reflect on what I'm doing, what I'm buying, what I'm wearing, what I'm eating, that I look at it and say, hey, do I really need this? What is the impact of what I'm doing right now on my environment? Is it worth it for me right now? Eating meat stopping eating meat is one example of a choice that was for me. I could let it go. I thought, okay, this is my way of making an impact. But at the same time, I'm not willing to give up my warm showers, for example, because I love warm showers, even though, taking long warm showers is also not good for the environment. So I think everyone makes their choices themselves, what they want to do in their lives. And yeah, I think that's what it means for me to stay critical of my own practices. Yeah.
Well, if everyone starts taking cold showers in the winter, then we're going to have a major problem in the planet. Everyone's going to be sick, which is not very sustainable also.
Yeah, but I mean, just reflecting on my own practice in this case, I mean, I can take a 2-minute warm shower and I don't have to take a 15-minute warm shower,
But that's so good, a 15-minute warm.
Yeah, it is. So that's why
and we only going to live once.
Yeah, but there's also people that, don't need that. And they're like, what, I actually really love eating, I don't know, a burger.
There are so many things that we don't need in life, but we enjoy having them.
Sure. So it's up to us to think, is it worth it for me? Because sometimes I also decide, like, I'm going to take that long shower today. I'm not a saint, I'm also making these choices. But I'm actively making these choices, right? And I think that's that's too important to stay reflective of that. If I go shopping and I want to buy something because I really like it, I'm still asking myself, okay, but do I need it? And is it worth it? If I really, really like it, is it then worth it for me? What it's going to cause or what the impact of that is. Is it worth that to me? It's a personal choice, right? I'm not saying that one choice is good or bad. I'm just saying it's for me thinking, is this choice worth it for me? Is it worth the impact that I'm making? I think that is what it means for me personally. And
but what about used clothes?
Yeah, I'm mainly buying only secondhand clothes, right? So everything I'm wearing right now actually is secondhand clothes, and I that's my main go-to. I only buy like socks and underwear, and sometimes shoes, new. Or if I like really need something specific for, I don't know, work or something, then I will do it. But normally I always buy.
What do you mean if you need something specific for work? Something that you could look better?
Yeah, or maybe if there is an event and I need to be in a specific color and I don't have anything in that color and I need it fast or something,
You need something in that color?
Yeah, I'm just giving an example. Like, I don't know, like it could, or for example, pole dance clothes or something, something specific. That's what I meant more. And if I need it then fast, then sometimes, of course, I also enjoy the privileges of fast fashion and buy something.
And coming the next day from Amazon. With Prime and ordering with Prime delivery from Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to. Before I moved to Austria, I never used Amazon.
No?
No.
Where did you order?
I mean, I did order from some websites in the Netherlands. Amazon's not really a thing there. But I try to buy it in shops, and especially small shops, because I try to support more, small entrepreneurs and local businesses. I really try to.
I find some small little shops so expensive sometimes.
Yeah.
And we have to buy them just because they're small local shops, but they are very expensive. There's nothing to make people say, hey, come buy to me because I'm a small little local shop. But why me as a customer should I come to you?
I mean, it depends on what kind of shops you go, right? Like there's also small shops that are affordable. You just have to find them. And of course, it's a privilege if they're more expensive to say, that I will go there. I can only say that if I have enough money, because I think that's also something that comes with sustainability again, that a lot of people that don't have a lot of money don't have the ability to make this choice.
Exactly.
Right. And I think we should be that's also where this judgment again comes in, where I think like, how can I judge someone for eating something if that's the only choice? Because a lot of the times, you said earlier that eating vegetarian is cheaper, right? But at least in the Netherlands, until a few years ago, eating meat was very cheap because the meat was just very underpriced for how it was made. So I think whether it's buying certain clothes or going to certain shops or eating having a certain diet, I think we should be aware of the limitations that different people have.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. That's a lot of time, most of the times, trying to be sustainable is expensive and unaffordable. For example, let's take an example of an apartment in an old building. It's very hard to restrain yourself from being sustainable in that apartment. For example, you might need an air conditioning because you live in the higher floor and it's very, very hot there with the big windows, especially in Vienna. I don't know if you heard that or ever seen that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you want to put an air conditioning there because you basically bake in yourself the whole summer.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
You have to. I mean, it's not good for the environment, but you can't be sustainable. You can't put, at the end of the day, you love yourself more. Everyone loves themselves more. Even if they don't, I think they should. Because as per history, we know that no person on Earth has ever outlived Earth. So each one of us will die sooner or later, and it could be that we live longer if we don't bake in a high apartment with big windows. And the choice is hard not to put that air conditioning there. The choice is hard not to make a hot shower a long hot shower in cold winter days in Vienna. So I'm totally pro sustainability myself as well. And for me, if you were going to ask me, I was going to say that for me, sustainability is mainly not wasting. So I'm at the point that if I need something, I will get it. But if I need something that I just had, I wouldn't buy double of it. For example, almost same pair of shoes. I wouldn't buy 2 pair of shoes that look almost the same because I don't need them. And that's how sustainable I can be. And when I can buy used things, for example, a device or something that I can find used, I buy it used. In this case, when you buy used tools or devices, it's actually cheaper. But if you go to fashion, if you go to food, that's suddenly a trend and it's more expensive. This is what I don't like about it. There are people and industries who are taking advantage of the fact that people are trying to be sustainable.
Of course, yeah.
And this is making things hard. We don't know where to turn because there's this barriers. On one side there's a planet yelling at us, and on the other side there's these industry guys who are raising the price. Where should I go? I have only this salary. I don't have 100 salaries.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, look at oat milk, right? It's ridiculously expensive, where the process of making that is way easier and cheaper than creating like cow milk.
And just because it's old
and just
milk,
because
everyone
it's
is
a trend,
talking about it.
and just because it's a trend, they're raising the prices, and it's horrible. Because I think actually one great way that we could support and stimulate more sustainable behavior is by making the more sustainable options affordable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you want people to be sustainable, make them accessible to the
100%,
people.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know, give incentives if they buy oat milk instead of real milk or whatever
100%.
the policies could be, because I'm not an expert on that. But it's common sense. If you want to push something, make it cheaper or make it more accessible or make it more affordable or whatever there is out there.
100%.
People who are thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if I see that Amazon is delivering me the same thing that will do the job for me in much lower cost and in much faster times, hell yeah. Chances are that I will order that from Amazon.
Yeah.
But if the competitor is something that will come in 2 months, that will arrive in 2 months and cost 4 times the price, but it's made from material that is more sustainable and it's more organic.
Yeah.
Fine, it's good for them, but I need it next week because I have an event at work. I have something at work. I need to wear those shoes for work or whatever there is there.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the same goes for traveling, right?
Yeah.
I just told you that I often take the night train from Vienna to Amsterdam.
But that's not very cheap.
And actually, oftentimes it's more expensive to go by train than by plane, and it takes you longer, and it's less comfortable, right? So it's really yeah. And I think this is a big problem. I think actually the investment should not go in, not having to pay kerosene tax, but they should put that money instead in, making train travel affordable.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are, definitely. Or, I mean, you can say that they are trying to move towards electric cars and all that to reduce the cost. But look at the electric car. They cost, also, it's the same topic. An electric car costs a lot more than a regular car.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have yet so many electric cars on the street. We have some, but we are not packed with them.
Yeah, and I mean, Norway is the proof that if you make it affordable, people will choose that option, right?
Why would it happen?
In Norway, actually, right now, I think 99% of all cars that are produced are electric there, and they have a really, really big percentage of electric car users there, because they already started decades ago with making that, like, for example, you have to pay less taxes for if you drive one. If you have a business there and you drive one, you don't have to pay certain taxes. So they made it actually financially attractive.
Yeah.
And you can see it. They are completely ahead of all of us.
Yeah. There is also something similar to this in Vienna. That if you have an electric car with green license plates, you can park anywhere for free.
Yeah.
But first of all, parking in Vienna, I don't think it has ever been a price problem, rather than you can't find a parking spot. That's a real problem.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's a matter of choice that you buy the car, you buy an electric car to save yourself money. Everyone wants an electric car because they save themselves money on gas, on diesel, on all that. But no one can say like, I'm gonna buy this 50,000 euro car today so I can save myself diesel.
Yeah.
They say I'm gonna buy this 10,000 euro car today and whatever, I'm gonna think about diesel later.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So as long as the cars are expensive, no one will think long term. People, human beings usually don't think long term and don't want to think long term because, going back to what I said, everyone knows that life is limited. So it's hard to make them think about the planet unless you push them to that, like you gave them the Norway example.
Yeah. I think making sustainable choices should be made way easier. And I think our governments have a huge role to play there that they're not actively taking responsibility for right now. Yeah.
What about your other documentaries? What have you achieved?
Yeah, so I mean, this documentary that I made for youngsters is now used as a school project, actually. So people use it for giving workshops in high schools, which is really nice. Then I worked for a university last year where I made documentary films about their ongoing research and translated that to more understandable and accessible material for people that are not in that research field. And that was about regenerative education. So that's also a form of including sustainability and regenerative practices into education, in higher education specifically. And so that was what those projects were about. And right now, for my thesis, for my master's, I'm also making a documentary film, which is about how art students use their bodies to create knowledge.
Create knowledge?
Yeah, because basically, sorry.
It's all right.
Art students... I'm still in the beginning of this research, but the whole idea is that, as social science researchers, I'm studying science and technology studies, which is a social science studies. We often put ourselves in situations and kind of not acknowledge the fact that our body play a role in the research that we do, right? Like how well I'm able to hear affects how I'm having a conversation with someone, how well I'm able to see or how well I'm able to remember conversations affects the data that will come out of certain researches. So our bodies play a big role in gathering data. And a friend of mine wrote a great PhD thesis in which he used his chronic illness and his chronic pain as a research method, because he basically said, I, with my body being in a chronic sense of pain, I am way more sensitive to changes in the environment, because if something small changes, my pain increases or decreases. So by that, he could say, I can use how much pain I'm feeling as an extra way of observing my environment. And so he used his body as a research instrument. And I think art students are doing a similar thing. They're using their bodies to create this kind of knowledge, and they take the input that their body gets seriously. That's a bit of an assumption, because it's, putting art students in one category, and that's of course also not very correct, but so take it with a grain of salt, right? But yeah, basically what this documentary will be about will be how they use these methods and how we can translate this embodied knowledge making practices back into social science, and how we can integrate the body as a research tool into social sciences.
What do you study?
Science and technology studies. So that is about how...
Is it in the technician university or what?
No, the Hauptuni. That's it's a social science study. So it's about how knowledge is created, how facts come to be, also how politics and how politics are intertwined with technologies, and how people respond to that, and other institutions like universities, and yeah.
But I guess your university is in English, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I heard that once I got a TV at home, which was used, by the way. I got a used TV. But because I couldn't afford a new one, that back then.
Fair enough.
And it was in Dutch language.
Oh, really? Okay.
and I found it very similar to German. At least, I mean, of course I couldn't read 100% of it, but as a TV that I sort of know what is telling me when I press settings, I could relate to the language. I could see things that I knew because I knew German back then. But you find it still hard to speak German?
So, I mean, understanding German was very fast process. I understood it quite quickly. Like you said, it has a lot of similarities with Dutch. So that was, easier to learn for me, even though I learned it mostly in the context of my fiance's family. And they speak dialect. So that's like an extra struggle that came on top. But understanding went quite easily. But I think in speaking, what is the hardest for me, apart from the Fälle, because that's just impossible, I gave up on that.
The what?
Fälle, like the cases.
Oh, the cases.
That is just, whatever. But what the hardest is, I think, for me, is to differentiate when is it the same as in Dutch and when is it different? Because sometimes if I don't know a German word, I just try to say the Dutch word with a German accent and hope it's accidentally also a German word. And that works like 50% of the time, So that's great. But sometimes then they have a completely different word and they look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? So
that's like being Italian and trying to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Sort of try your luck and you deviate a little bit the Italian words to try to speak Spanish, but that's exactly the look they give you. Like, what are you trying to say? Yeah,
I think I always compare like German and Dutch is like similarly different as Spanish to Portuguese, for example.
Or that.
Yeah, or Italian. Yeah.
But it's a funny thing though that the Portuguese, they all understand the Brazilians as well. They understand Spanish very well.
Yeah, true. But I mean, Dutchies also understand German, but speaking is a different thing, right? Like, and I think German-speaking countries in general have a bit more difficulty with speaking like foreign languages a lot, right? I think, like, let's say like this compared to the Netherlands, where we're such a small country, we're not used to other people speaking our language at all. So we all get taught English in school from very early age on, which is basically a second language for most of us. And we get taught French or German in high school as well. I picked French, so poor life choices. But yeah.
But I heard the same thing. I met a Danish person last week. He said that his daughter is at that period where she has to choose either to start to study French or German, because apparently they have the same choices in Denmark.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the daughter wanted to choose French, and the father said that's the stupid decision you can ever make. Just choose German because that's what you're gonna need. And I didn't know, but Denmark apparently relies a lot on Germany, and he said that when things are not good in Germany, things are not good in Denmark as well, and they import a lot from there, and then it's like they grow up and they want to go and live in Germany to have a better life there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I would rather live in Denmark than in Germany, to be honest. But
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He said that the third biggest Danish population there is outside Denmark is in Berlin. Actually, not outside Denmark. The third biggest population of Danish people is in Berlin.
Wow.
The first one is in Denmark.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, but I mean, it makes sense. It's close to each other, and like I'm sure there's a lot of people moving also.
As a small country, is also are also the Netherlands related to or relying on other big countries nearby?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not exactly sure which countries we're relying on most, but I mean, the Netherlands. Yeah, has a lot of ties to other countries.
What is this something that no one outside the Netherlands knows something about the name? That Holland is actually an area? It's not the country, right? Something like that. Can you explain that? Yeah, so
the Netherlands have different districts, of course, and two of those districts are Noord-Holland and Zuid-Holland. So the north of Holland and the south of Holland, and these are just two districts of the Netherlands, and together they are Holland. So actually, so
calling the Netherlands Holland, it's not wrong?
I mean, everyone will understand what you mean, but I think especially the people in the south of the Netherlands are a little bit offended by that because they really don't identify themselves with Holland.
Why?
Yeah, that's just a different part of the Netherlands that, doesn't feel included by that. And I think it makes sense because officially Holland is only these two parts of the Netherlands, which is a very small part, right? So it's a bit, yeah. I don't mind it, but I don't know. Let's say it like that. I've never met a person that was like personally upset if someone said that, especially not people from abroad. But I think if you say it as a Dutchie in the Netherlands, then it's a bit different because then you're basically only referring to these two parts. But as a foreigner, I don't think
In my native language, Holland is the only name that we know about the Netherlands. We don't know any other name. I mean, we only translate it in English to Netherlands, and then in our own language we say Holland.
Yeah.
That's all we know. We have no idea how you hate when we say that or something like that.
It's fine. I think, like I said, I've never met a person that got upset because of it. So.
What are those colorful things on your wrist?
These are Pride bands, actually. I think I opened one now. Yeah,
that's bad luck.
Yeah, no, I can just fix it again.
When I say together, what's written there? Together?
Together we rise, it says. And the other one says just Vienna Pride. That's from the Pride Week. This was from last year and this is from this year.
You've been in both of them?
I wasn't the one from this year. Yeah, last year I was unfortunately in the Netherlands when Pride Week was here, so I couldn't go.
Yeah, but they are the same wristbands or what? The same style, but from different countries?
From different years.
But they are both from the Netherlands?
No, both from Austria.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. From Vienna, both from Vienna, actually.
How often do you watch movies? What's your average?
Too little. I mean, I would say I watch a movie once every 2 weeks or something.
What's the latest movie you watch?
The last movie I watched was a thriller on Netflix.
Reptile?
Yeah.
You watched that? I watched it last week too.
I watched Reptile, yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I watched another one after that. But what do I think about Reptile?
Did you fall asleep?
No, I didn't fall asleep, but I also wasn't... I mean, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't... I didn't really understand why it was called Reptile, to be honest. I didn't really understand.
Oh, there is a little hint there.
There was this one scene where they found like a snake skin, but that was it, right? And I don't really think... Why is that the main topic of the like, why is it described like that? I don't know.
Well, it's a metaphor for the family... the real estate. I mean, there's a spoiler here. Who hasn't seen the Reptile? There's a spoiler coming up, so just
close your ears.
Put your headphones down just for the moment. And they were like reptiles. They were acting like reptiles. They were, in a sense, drinking other people's blood, eating other people's bodies, and killing them all over power. And that's how pretty much reptiles are. It was this sort of metaphor for Justin Timberlake and his mother. So I forgot his name. Will. I think Will was his name.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure anymore.
I found it a very good movie, though. First of all, considering that it was the first, it was a debut film for the filmmaker.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He only had done music videos before that.
Wow.
And documentaries, by the way.
Wow, okay, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was very impressive for first film.
Yeah,
definitely. And having Benicio del Toro there and Justin Timberlake. But the guy's last name was Singer, so he's probably related to Bryan Singer. We like to say that when we see a guy succeeding, and we say, yeah, but he's the son of this, son of that. And he
no, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
But I found it good. I found it a bit old school, this detective alone, going against the wind, trying to find the murderer, not being corrupted.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it.
I like it. Brings me back to the old school movies. There's this movie with Russell Crowe that has pretty much the same theme, that the bad guys are, again, police officers coming from this. I forgot the name. It's an old film. Do you want to do a feature film?
No, I don't think so.
You're going to focus on documentaries, or you're going to quit them after you're done with master's degree?
No, I really like film, but for me, it's a research tool. So for me, it's really about researching and telling stories and and making research more accessible. So for me, making a feature film is not doing that. I mean, maybe in the future I will find a way to transform research into a feature film. Maybe then would be cool. But also production-wise, right? A feature film, to make that successful, you need way more resources than for a documentary film, I think. Up till now, I've been working alone, I mean, not alone, of course, because I'm talking to people and interviewing them, but like the production process is merely me. And I'm, like I said, I film everything with my phone. I just have a small microphone that I can plug in and I can go, right? Sorry.
One of these lavalier, the small ones that you connect to the phone and that's it.
No, I don't know.
It's a wireless one.
A wireless one, yeah. Yeah. And so it's rather low key, and it's for me really a research tool. So for now I will stick to documentary films, and I mean, who knows? I can never say never, but for now, feature film is not in the.
Do you read?
Yes, I love.
What are you reading?
Ooh, right now I'm reading. I just started The Nightingale. It's a book about a woman. I think I just read only one page, so I have no idea actually what it's about. But I know it's around the Second World War theme. So I don't know what it will bring me.
Do you read biographies or autobiographies?
I don't really read biographies a lot, but I recently actually read a book that my mom wrote, which is about family history, and that was kind of a biography about my grandfather as well, and I mean about our whole family. But he was.
Well, what was it about? Is there something special that has happened to your family? Are you the daughter of a celebrity or something?
No. So actually, it was about 3 generations of bakers, because I have a bakery family, and it's about basically this entrepreneurial spirit that has come from generation to generation to generation, and also how that is translated differently in our generation now, because we are not bakers, but we still have this entrepreneurial spirit, and what it does to you when you grow up with parents that have their own business and these kind of things. So, yeah.
Is she putting it on sale or just distributing among people she knows?
No, it's actually selling very well. It's
really?
Really well in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's in Dutch, I guess.
It's in Dutch, yeah. But
let's wait for the English translation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that works, because it's plays in these tiny Dutch towns, and it's a lot about Dutch history as well. So it's not only about my family, but also about what happened in the Netherlands specifically. But yeah.
But do you realize that you just have your next documentary right there?
Well,
based on the book.
I mean, I would love to, but then I would love to interview the people that can still talk about that. And most of these people have passed away. So my mom has started researching for this book like 10 years ago. And most of the people that she interviewed have passed away by now, including my grandfather. So I think that would be really important if you make a film like this. And yeah.
You say that all of your family has had this entrepreneurial spirit. What about you?
Yes, I also.
What are you starting? Are you also starting comedy?
No, I'm not starting my own business or like that. But I think entrepreneurialism is not only about what you do; it's about how you do things. So it's about being extremely hands-on and about being always happy for new connections, for new opportunities, and the way that we approach working. And I mean, I've also stepped away from it partly, right? Because I always had this spirit of always working. And by now I've realized that part of that's also not really healthy, right? It's also good to take breaks and to say, you know what, in the weekends I'm not working and I'm taking time for me. So I've stepped away from some of that as well. But I still have to say I can't really sit still. Like I said, I have 3 jobs now next to doing my master's, and I have it always like that, right? I'm always having 5 things at the same time going on, and I'm really bad at doing nothing. So
Do you call it multitasking?
I don't know if I call it multitasking, because that reminds me more of doing multiple tasks literally at the same time, which I don't think is very effective.
Yeah. I totally agree, and it was nice. I was reading the same thing, the same opinion. There's a book called Stolen Focus. I forgot the name of the writer anyway, and it's basically a collage of studies and it's focused on the focus of people, and attention span and all that, and multitasking. There's this part about multitasking, and it's specified that there's actually multitasking per se doesn't even exist, because you can't do two things at the same time. I mean, you can maybe drive and have a drink, have a sip of the drink while you're driving, but one of them is definitely a passive behavior. For example, you're driving, but you're not really changing the gear while you are drinking. You are just passively driving, and then you are having a sip from the drink or some from the coffee. So I want to tell to everyone who thinks it's multitasking, they're not.
Yeah, I mean, there's this one skill that I have where I can listen to a podcast and write something unrelated at the same time. And
also,
get both inputs, like working. But it only works for me if I do it in two different languages.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. But also, I don't think that when you are really writing, you are really listening. That moment, I think the brain sort of starts, your ears are listening when you are writing, but your brain is not listening at that moment when you just found that nice sentence and you're putting it down. If you go back to try to remember what you listened to in those moments when right after you wrote, you probably don't remember what you just listened to. You can test this next time you try that.
I mean, I can remember it.
All of it.
I mean, at least, I can just tell stories about what I just listened to and what it was about and was talking.
Maybe. But on the other hand, it's also that listening to podcasts while typing, there is one thing. You are only typing. You are not doing something else. The podcast is there and it's passive. You are not doing it, so it's not you multitasking.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like one more passive.
Yeah, it's not true. They consider multitasking when the person is doing many things at the same time, not when other things are happening to this person at the same time. So it's like saying I'm multitasking while I'm driving. I'm also running a tornado. No, the tornado is running yourself towards you. You're not running that. You're trying to avoid the tornado, or you're being passive.
Fair. Yeah.
For that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I wish you good luck with your studies and documentaries. I want to see where can I see any of your documentaries?
You can see them on my website. They're all open access, like all for free. So you can just watch them on YouTube. And actually, I think most of them are in Dutch, but they have subtitles. So
the website is in the description. What else can we find there?
On the website, you can find...
Because it's your private website, first name, last name.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. You can find other projects that I did, not only films, but also other art projects that I did, and pieces that I wrote, and just some information about, who I am and what I'm up to in life. Yeah.
Nice. Well, for those who don't like to listen, just click to the website and you will find out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.